Hey, welcome back to the shop. I'm Jason, and today we're not playing with the track car and we don't get to really do much fun in the garage. Today I'm taking care of a problem that if you live in Phoenix and you've tasted the water, well, if you know, you know. The water is not so great here. And even though my house, I installed a water filtration system and it made it much better, it really didn't bring the water up to, I guess, what I would say is my wife's palatable flavor for water. I think it's okay, but it's still not so great. The water filters in our fridge, they didn't do such a great job either on top of that. So I did install a reverse osmosis next to our kitchen sink, which is a common installation. But the problem is our water here in Phoenix in the summertime gets up to the high 80s, low 90 degrees out of the tap, which is pretty uncomfortable, pretty gross. So you add ice to that, but the ice out of the fridge, well, it tastes like Phoenix water. And so we resorted to a tabletop or a countertop ice maker, which has subsequently died after I don't know how many thousands of pounds of ice we used this last year. See, we homeschool, we both work from home, and we're drinking water in and out all the time, so our appliances get used a lot. So today I am looking to fix that by running a reverse osmosis to the fridge we have in our kitchen, as well as the one on the other side of the wall that we have in our laundry room for backup storage. We happen to have two teenage boys that basically eat everything. So there's one problem. The way that our house is designed, the kitchen sink is on an island, and the water supply is there, and the drain supply is there. Most reverse osmosis systems require a drain. In fact, I believe all of them do. So I have a unique solution with the parts laid out across the countertop here or my workbench, plus this cabinet, to install into my laundry room using the washing machine drain, bridging between the wall to the two refrigerators, and making one system to operate everything. So here's the cabinet I'm using. It's a Diamond Now from Lowe's. While these aren't the nicest cabinets in the world, they're a great starter cabinet. In a previous project, I used three 36-inch base cabinets, tied them all together into a storage unit, or I guess a media supply unit, built a countertop, built a whole wall ensemble, added soft close drawers, soft close hinges, and a nice set of handles. So I'm going to be using these cabinets in the laundry room in a future project where I redo the whole laundry room, and as well in between my two boys' rooms to build in a homeschool storage center, because our house has one jacket closet in the whole damn house. There's just very little storage, so I add the storage myself. All right, so to start, we're gonna have to get this fridge out, which means I gotta get the lower cover off. This one doesn't have a clip on it, or there's screws, so it pops out. Of course. It has these little clippers here. And under normal circumstances, you could just roll the fridge out, but I roll the fridge in, and then these little stoppers here, I adjust it so that it's level and it's not gonna move. With the cover off, and the right size wrench, these should come a lot easier. Yeah, there we go. Now let's roll it out and see how gross it is. I guess it's not so bad. We do have a cat. Should you unplug your fridge before you start doing all this? Yeah, probably. My wife would kill me if I let all the food in here get warm, so I'm not gonna worry about it. Shut your water off to your fridge as it is, and then hopefully you have some rags handy. Disconnect your water line. Should be a 1/2 inch open-ended wrench. You can drain your line out. You could have a bucket or something to drain it into. Probably would have been smart. All right, now that we got everything out of the way, I'm gonna pop this cover off. Oh man, that was quite the pro level install. Not even remotely straight. There's a screw on this side. Tells me there's a stud there. So if I want my boxes to be offset, I should probably drill through this side to put my box over there. I'm going to use my little exploratory bit here. Push through and see what I feel. And I'm feeling a stud or something there, as well as one there. So what should we do about that? I'm thinking I'm going to take drill bit right there in the top corner, and I'll go across to the other side and see where I come out of the laundry room. Yep. That's a 2x6 wall. That's good to see. Let's start drilling. Well, there we are. We know where the top corner of that box is. So if we draw a square, we know it's right there. And we get to plan where to put the other one. All right, so here we are in the laundry room. And I went in, I drilled both corners of that box. There's not enough room to put a box on both sides. I could offset one way or the other, but given that it seems like there's two studs there for some reason, I'm going to go ahead and do some exploratory surgery, open the wall up. And what I'm thinking I'll do is I'll flip that box around to this side. I'll buy another plate for the other side, a service plate with a door, and then I'll just run my hose across. We'll see how that works. There. Mark my opening. And you could cut this out with a razor blade, a drywall knife. I'm going to use an oscillating tool with a fast wood blade on it. It's going to cut through this like butter. And we'll see what's on the other side of it. Throw on my safety gear. Well, that's unexpected. Perhaps that's why I thought there was a stud there. Because this wall appears to be lined with plywood. All right. Guess we got to do more cutting. Okay, check it out. I got that wood cut out of there. The box is loose because it was only being held in by a wood screw. When the drywallers went to install the drywall and cut around the box, because the plumber had previously installed it, they cut the tabs off. See those back in there. So this guy's just hanging in here. And my thought is that I can turn it around. Now, there's pecs up here, and there's a lock nut on the top of the box. I'm going to have to break that lock nut free in order to spin it on the fitting. Well, I found myself in a bit of a pickle, as I'm sure some of you probably noticed while I was trying to turn around the box, there was going to be an issue. The fittings are Apollo or Upnor expansion fittings, and I can't turn this around, even if I can turn the box around. So now I need to figure out an alternate solution to this problem, or I'll rotate the box back around and I'll have to run a line into here from that side. Darn it. All right, so what I'm trying to do here is an alternate drain or remote installation. Because I don't have a sink to run the faucet to, I'm going to be running to 2 individual fridges. And to do that, I'm going to put a shutoff valve at each fridge so that I can disconnect them. And then my drain line here that would normally go to some sort of auxiliary drain or sink drain, I'm going to run this over to the drain for the washer. And because the system has to purge for 24 hours whenever it's sanitized with bleach, that means I need a secondary faucet line that's going to come out off of a T and also go to that drain. So that T will have a shutoff valve as well. It'll make a little bit more sense as I put it together, I hope. It wouldn't be near this complicated if you were using the faucet, this guy, and you were going into like a laundry room sink. Let's see, where is it? It's over here. Or a kitchen sink. But again, because I'm doing a remote install, I need to find a way to purge the system, drain the system, and have all the flush water go somewhere, while also making it serviceable where I can shut a fridge off one at a time or both of them. So I have a bunch of valves laid out here and all sorts of stuff to see if we can make this work. We're going to start packaging it up into our cabinet before we take the cabinet in there, so we're not working on the ground. So I'm starting here by just getting the fittings all put together and then trying to map out where I can get these lines to run inside this specific cabinet. I tried using heat, but found that cold bending worked just fine, and just really had to make sure that I had enough line to poke out the sides for when I drill the side of the box out and get everything to fit in there just right. Okay, now that I have a good idea where all my lines are going to run, that means I need to start putting holes in this box to get them out to the freshwater supply, the drain supply, and splitters and all that. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drill a 3/4 inch hole, 8 inches up, 2 inches in on both sides so that they line up. And then I'll pop the lines out each one of these different sides. You want to drill halfway from the outside and then the rest from the inside so that you get a nice clean hole. Okay, let's see if I've adequately confused the system from here. What we've got going on is the green line will be fresh water coming into the system. The yellow line is going to be from our pressure tank. The blue line goes into the remineralization, and then this would be the feed line to your faucet. However, we don't have a faucet. So this is going to be our purge line for sanitization that goes into the drain. The 1/4 inch line over here will be going to the drain as well, and those come out on this side. This line will stay closed unless we're sanitizing. This line will be the feed to the fridges, which would be closed when this one is open. So this will come out over here, and it will split and go into 2 fridge lines, one on the laundry side and one on the kitchen side. So in order to adapt the PEX 3/8 line to the braided fridge line, you're going to need one of these 3/8 to 1/4 inch compression reducing union, as well as the nylon couplers. Because we're going into a PEX line, you can't use the brass compression fittings. So just bear in mind as you're trying to put a system together, if it's as crazy as mine, you're going to need to match up a bunch of different parts and pieces. And brass doesn't go to plastic. You need a plastic to plastic compression ring. Okay, so after drowning my sorrows a little bit and rethinking my plan, you know, plans don't always come out the way that you thought they would in your head. And this is one of those instances. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our PEX choppers. We're going to chop that current refrigerator box out and see if we can pull enough line through the wall. I went up into the attic. I found where the line drops down into the wall. I pushed down a little bit more. It drops into the wall and then turns and crosses one of the stud bays and into this bay. So I got just a little bit of room to cut and put the new box in. Let's go ahead and give it a try. All right, because this line runs up into the ceiling, I went ahead and hooked up one of my short lines, and I have the water off, but I know that it's going to drain out. I opened up the sink faucet here in the kitchen to give it a little bit of air into the system. No matter what we do here, we're going to be draining some water out of the system when we cut the line. So this is a good start. Make sure you're using a good pair of PEX cutters. Try to get a square cut as low as you can. All right, another change of plans. Because this wall has plywood and drywall, and these ears are supposed to be on the stud, this doesn't fit through there, so I need to take the drywall out. And I modified the ears, made them a little shorter since they're going to be sitting on plywood anyhow. And then we'll see if it slides in. Okay, now we've got our spots augured out so that we can just drill right into the plywood. It fits in there. We have to go to the other side and get the PEX line pushed down and in. Hold on. I know some of you are thinking right now, but you have a valve with a hammer arrestor there. Isn't that code? Well, maybe some of you are thinking that. And yes, this was a code valve with a hammer arrestor for very good reason. Fast-acting appliances like a refrigerator or a washer and dryer have solenoids inside of them, which can turn on and off, allowing the water pressure to move very quickly and then stopping and causing water hammer in your pipes or potential damage to appliances or other systems. Well, the reverse osmosis has a giant hammer arrestor in it. That's the expansion tank. Plus, as it's bringing water in through the filters, it's slowing it down. So there is no on and off that is going to cause any type of water hammer or any type of situation like that. And it's my understanding that that being the case, it may not be code per se, but not having a hammer arrestor in this specific situation is okay. Plus, that valve is cheaper. It may be different in your circumstances, so check your codes and do what you think is right. This is what I think is going to work and is going to be right for my instance.
There you go. You can see it's locked in there. I should have marked the line with a depth gauge, and you know, when you're filming, you forget these things. So what I did was I just made sure I crammed it down as far as I could, wiggled and twisted it, and now I'll turn the water on.
So this is a good example of something not working and then just figuring out a way to make it work. The water line's purged, the air's out of it, and it's not leaking. I'm going to throw a couple of screws in the box, and then we can start up on the actual reverse osmosis system.
All right, I know that I'm going to need to take the water line over to the other fridge. And what I talked about was I'm just going to pop a hole in the bottom here. Here's that feed line that we made earlier. It's going to go from here to the green line that feeds the cabinet. It's a rubber line in there, so it doesn't have to be super duper tight. And then we're reducing here using our coupling from 1/4 to 3/8, 3/8 down to 1/4. Because I couldn't find a fitting that went from here to there. Okay, we have our freshwater line going into the reverse osmosis. This is our freshwater line coming out. And then we need to tee so that we can go into this fridge and into the fridge on the other side. I have this fridge connected here, so I think I'll have it come out of the top of the tee like that, so that it can pull away, and then I'll have this one loop up and over. That way I have some slack for the other side. We're going to need something to connect our hard line into, so I have a small cut here already. I like to use a little bit of this O-ring lubricant on everything with an O-ring, basically. Twist and push until you feel it seat that extra distance. This side, same thing. You could use a PEX tool to smooth out that edge so that you don't pinch any of your O-rings. These all have such good clean cuts that I think we'll be okay. There are so many cuts though that now I'm starting to second guess that. So then that will loop through. And that'll go out that other big old hole on the other side. Whenever you're dealing with a compression fitting, put your nut on first, then put your compression ring so that it's pushing into your fitting. You can see the taper on there needs to fit into the compression side. Then put your insert. Make sure you're tightening the right side of the fitting. Now I don't know what the torque spec on these should be, but not leaking. All right, we're really starting to get somewhere. We have all of our lines connected and we're ready to hook the tank up into the system, which means for our first startup, we need to do a sanitization. To do so, it says to add 3 milliliters of bleach to the yellow tank line, and then once you hook it up, it's going to fill the system and we're going to purge it out the drain line. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Now the way I have this set up, I'm going to lay the tank on its side here, and this little protector that came in the kit, I'm just going to drop it in like so. Then I've got to move the camera so that I can squeeze back there and get that yellow line plugged in. I don't squeeze into small spaces well. All of the lines are hooked up, which means now it's time to turn it on and see with 40 T's and valves and fittings if we have any leaks. Here we go. I'm only going to turn it on a little bit. Should be filling the filters up. Should start to see water here.
Okay, so I ran the system overnight last night. And for some odd reason, at 4 o'clock this morning, I was thinking, I need to go check on it. Good thing I did, because it was leaking. Not from any of my fittings, but from inside the unit or the valve block and then out the bottom. I don't know how, but it was. So at 4 o'clock this morning, I pulled all the filters out, checked all the connections, made sure everything looked good and put them back in. And then I just left it, went back to sleep. And then when I got up later, turned the system back on again and it started leaking again. So that means I need to pull that system back out. And I went to Home Depot today, I bought another one, and I'm going to swap out the valve block and see if that fixes it, and then I can return a whole unit together in one package. Let's get that thing out of there and see what we can find.
Nah, I'm not frustrated. Not at all.
Looking at the back of the unit, none of the O-rings had any water or anything coming from back here. I couldn't feel any water. But when the unit tipped, water came out. You have to remove this filter first, then the rain, then this one. Water came out from down here, as though it was leaking somewhere from one of these, or maybe the block itself had a leak. Let me dump this out. So I shook it out, pulled the filters out, I dried this out here, and then still, when I turned it back on, leaking again. So there's something going on inside of this housing. And all there is really it's literally just that. It's a housing with the valve block on the back to send between the 3 filters. So I don't know what it is. Maybe there's a crack or something going on in there. We're going to start over. With the one out of this destroyed box here, it was the only one left. So here we are. Good thing I already have the rest of the system put together. After reconfiguring, getting everything plumbed back in, the only change that I made was I added a little bit more length to the yellow line here so I could pull this tank out of the way easier and check everything. And I pulled the drawer out just so I can see. Get the water back on, see if we hear anything weird again. Well, filling up. After a couple hours, we'll double check, see if the floor is all wet again. Comment down below if you think this dumpster fire is going to come to a complete finish. I don't know. All right, while we're waiting for that thing to fill up and hopefully not leak, I picked up some of these cable clamps so that I can tie these lines up nice and clean against the wall so that they're not getting pulled in and out when I move the refrigerator. One topic I didn't cover with regards to the refrigerators is the filter that you have in your refrigerator. I had these, let's see, every drop filters in mine, and there's no sense in running through a reverse osmosis and then through a filter in the fridge. That's just extra cost. So you're going to want to double check with your specific model whether or not you can just pull those filters out, or if you have to put a bypass plug in order for the water to flow through your refrigerator without a filter. Mine, I just remove the filters themselves and it bypasses automatically. I got lucky with that one. Not usually that lucky, as you can tell with this project. On the note of this specific reverse osmosis, would I buy it again? Well, probably not. I haven't been happy with the fact that the valve block leaked. I didn't really cover that I had one of the fittings leak. That wasn't from what I did, it was just one of the fittings that came in the kit, the one that goes on top of the tank. So I've already replaced that too. 2 separate leaks. If you'd had this installed by a plumber and then had those problems, I don't think you'd be very happy. Thankfully, I'm doing it and I'm just dealing with it, right? Let's get back into the project. At this point, it was time to throw a set of cabinet handles on here. These are the same ones to match my family room cabinets. Off camera, I also made a top for this temporarily out of melamine that I had lying around. And I think it looks pretty nice. It's basic, but still gets the job done. All right, so our system is together. I've got ice in both of my fridges. I've got cold water coming out of both of my fridges. So now it's time for the taste test. Okay, here we go. Cold, refreshing, does not taste like Phoenix tap water. I like it. I think that I'm going to get the vote of approval from the boss when she tastes it. And now we have 2 refrigerators making ice. Even just 1 making ice would have been swell, but live and learn. I hope that you got a nugget out of this video, something that might help you design your system, install a system, remote or otherwise. If you did, a huge thing would be to throw me a like. Hit that thumbs up button. You could subscribe. Even better, if you commented, woo, that would mean the world to me. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this long into this video, whew, you are a brave soul, and I appreciate you. Thank you again, and I'll see you on the next one.